Welcome back to Beach Chair Chats. My name is Brian Kaiser here, and it's a beautiful day here in New England. Can't complain. It's sunny. Since it's been a brutal winter, I'm happy for sun. It's also opening day of baseball, or this week is baseball. So if people are baseball fans, awesome. I have a great guest here, Kendall Concini-Moore. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Are you a baseball fan?
I am. My husband's never been to an opening day, and I keep saying I'm gonna take him, and I haven't. And now I'm like, oh, it is this week. I didn't get his tickets.
Who is
Oh
the who?
no,
Who is the
next year.
team? Who is your
Uh,
team?
Orioles.
That's okay. At least it's not the Yankees. We're same division, the Red Sox. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So, well, talk a little bit about you. So if people just meet you for the first time, give a snapshot of your world. What does your world look like right now?
Yeah, so I'm having a great time with my little tagline. I would say my order is mental health advocate, mother, and then turned author. And I love that order because that's my whole journey.
Well, so you talk, obviously these are important roles, especially the role of
Mhm.
a mother, right? You talk a lot about being a mom and also with mental health too, but also the inspiration for your books, right? Your author. I don't know if I don't want to pronounce this on the website. Feel free to enlighten me in how you pronounce. Is it go ahead and say
Uh, so Ziggleoafing, but
Ziggleoafing. Okay.
yeah.
I was looking at it, it's like, how do I say this?
It is a
Ziggleoafing?
made up word. That
Is
was
it?
kind
Well,
of the point. Yeah.
so so if it's made up, what is the meaning behind the made up word of Ziggleoafing?
So, the fun of it is back when my husband and I were dating, we would talk about how a lot of powerful words get really routine. So, I love you. It's just, I love you, bye. And so I told him once, like, I wish there was a word to like capture when you feel bigger.
Hmm.
And so one day I just started making up this term zigaloofing with him. And if I would tell him, like, I'm Ziggleoofed about this, or that's like a Ziggleoofing plan. It would be kind of our joke of this is bigger than the normal word.
It's
And
like your
so,
yeah, your keywords, right? You just
yeah,
know. Okay. Well, you're right about words. It's kind of you say that because I always find words fascinating. Just even the word fascinating sometimes can be overused, or like the word amazing. When people say, "Oh, that's amazing," but is it? I mean, it's Ziggleoafing's great. So I like how you like sometimes words are overused since they lose meaning after a while. So within your books, right? You talk about is it the what is one of the inspirations like so the books that you've written. So talk about a little bit about those books.
so I have always struggled with mental health.
Hmm.
It had really defined me and stopped me from a lot of things in life because just that inner self-doubt. And
Hmm.
so when I decided to become a parent, aside from all the mental health stuff, we had to really think through how to talk to our kids about it because it
Hmm.
wasn't something I was going to like fix or get rid of before we had them. And it was something that I knew postpartum was going to happen. I knew like patience and stress of raising small
Hmm.
toddlers and all of their learning curves. And so it was how to talk to them about why mom is appearing different than
Hmm.
how dad handles stuff in a internal guilt free way, in a like holding space for it and still knowing that it doesn't impact how I love them. It's just a
Hmm.
reality. And so we started with a bedtime story about a cloudy day,
Hmm.
and it kind of grew into this whole beach adventure of just doing mental health advocacy through the story of how to approach that conversation with children.
So how does your children respond to these? When you talk about the mom's clouds and the beach adventure, like your cloudy day is your emotional state or mental health state at that time. So how do they respond to that? How do they understand that overall?
It is a lot easier for us to have language behind it. Even this
Hmm.
morning, it was a rough morning. My daughter, she didn't go to bed easy. She
Hmm.
was tired, so she woke up tired, and we had to get ready for school, and she was just losing it. And she ended up just telling us, she was like, I am having an off day. It might be cloudy. And I was like, yeah, it seems like it is, girl.
Hmm.
And so it's this ability for us to just kind of pause and say, hey, this isn't a normal, I just don't like mornings. This is
Hmm.
something is really different. I can recognize that like ultimately we know you're just tired because you didn't go to bed, but she knew like don't push me too much. I'm really
Hmm.
going through it. And then we just kind of let her feel her feelings. We said, okay, we're not, if you want to sit in your room, we need to make sure you get to school on time. But like
Yeah.
sit in here and kind of we'll give you space to do what you need to do and not like yell at her for yelling all morning.
Hmm.
But it's resonated where we have created this like let's just share when something is a little bit heavier.
Yeah. I think it is important to encourage children to talk about feelings. You see when kids aren't allowed to do that, I study psychology and we talk about parenting. And when you have parents who are like uninvolved or authoritarian parents, right? When a child brings up something or a heavy question, some parents might shut it down because it's uncomfortable, right? I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about that. And for a child, they hear that and immediately they think, well, I can't go there for this anymore. I can't turn to because they don't want to, it's not a safe space, and I'm going to turn elsewhere or just not talk about it. So I think by doing this, it gives them the ability to express themselves. Also, look into you and your husband as a safe space too, from an attachment standpoint, that they know they can turn to you and talk about these feelings. Even if it is butting of heads or struggles and pushback, it's still a space for them to express themselves. So that's a great thing for you as a mom. I think probably too. I think you talked about guilt as a mother sometimes, feeling of feels, and also reinforcing your role as a mom. How has that guilt and fear, around talking honestly about your struggles? What was it like for you?
I think that you kind of said it exactly. Like I grew up with a very much like, what do you have to be sad about? You
Mm-hmm.
know, you have a roof over your head, you have food on the
Oh
table.
yeah.
Like,
Oh
why are you
yeah. Old
sad?
school. Yeah.
And so you feel guilty all the time. And then you turn into people pleasing. So it's,
Hmm.
how can I make this better? What do I do for you, even though I'm feeling all of this? And so it was trying to explain to her, like, mom feels guilty. Like, let's talk this through. What did I do wrong? And so for me, it's this approach of learning to take that critique from them. Like,
Hmm.
hey, mom shouldn't have like reacted this way this morning. How did that make you feel? I've never had my parents sit and ask me them.
Hmm.
Even in doing this whole book and stuff, we haven't really gone to therapy or unlocked and been like, do you guys know where this comes from? Like, I'm telling you, I had years of depression,
Yes.
surprise.
Hmm.
And so in my parenting, my hope is just that she can continually come to me, and also that she just feels safe going to someone, and me admitting like we have chosen family. If you need to call up your aunts, call them up. Like if it's something you don't want to tell mom, make sure you're talking to someone.
Hmm.
And us being ready to also hear and kind of be ready for that too, and just
Yeah.
openness.
Yeah, you're correct about it. And you hit on that point about your upbringing. Lots of kids have that upbringing. If they're fortunate to have a parent that actually is the emotionally available, right? And you got that roof over your head kind of concept. You have food on the table. What are you complaining about? There's a provider aspect of parenting, which is important,
Mhm.
but there's also the nurturing side of parenting. And so if your kids grow up with like we've been provided for, you have this, be grateful. We've all heard those statements as a kid growing up, but as a I don't know how old your kids are. How old are your kids? That
Four and two.
they're still very young. But when
Yeah.
they start to go through those formidable ages of development where they're trying to figure out by being a available parent and emotionally in check with them, it's just going to help them in their development. So you probably see a little bit of that, how you were raised, and trying to maybe flip the script, right, a little bit for your kids. You see that kind of being the case for you?
Yeah, and it's hard to recognize what went wrong in our generation and also like really stay to advocating for doing better. And so a
Hmm.
lot of, as you said, like our parents, they think like I fed you, I clothed you, I gave you what you wanted. And I'm like, okay, the bar was here. You didn't
Hmm.
go above it. We
Yeah.
we can go above it. Like let's
Yeah.
let's take the next step. And I have it in my life too. Like I do have chosen family. I've put barriers in place with family
Hmm.
members we're not talking to. And for my daughter, that's confusing. And I know it's confusing at 4. And I get that guilt all the time of like, why do I have to explain why we don't talk to these people?
Hmm.
But I'm like, I just have to stay with like that mental health kind of mindset. So one day it will be easy to tell her, hey,
Hmm.
back then all I did was tell you we don't really see them, but here's why we had to
Yeah.
continually fight and push that boundary because it is going to be better in the long run to
Hmm.
not, she would come home and you would hear little things. I'm like, oh, she's picking up on it.
Yeah.
And it's when they pick up on it, you need to kind of, how do we grow beyond it?
Yeah, you hit on a very important point about boundaries. And it's hard sometimes with family to set boundaries. You know, you can be on social media and like, I want to block somebody. That's easy to do. You just push a button, they're gone. With family, it's harder, right? Because there
Mhm.
is that, even if it's traumatic, there's still that sense of connection. So it makes it challenging. So how did you go about doing that to set those boundaries and how has that helped you?
It was a very sloppy process. It's still a sloppy
I'm
process.
sure.
Like at first it's, we really much advocated for what we want it. Like this is what we envision. This is what we think is going to be like our general flows and our values. And when you start to recognize that that is getting pushed a lot and the excuse is, well, we're family. And I'm like, it doesn't matter to me, unfortunately. Like if
Hmm.
you don't have the best interest of the end goal, here
Yeah.
is like this universal shared concept of mental health, of respect and kind of awareness, then it's just something where, hey, our paths are going different ways. And like, thank you for
Hmm.
being there for me. Every kind of that we say so much that, friends are in our lives for the seasons they're there. And,
Hmm.
you're okay not talking to your high school friends and you're okay not
Hmm.
talking to your college friends as you age. I'm like, we don't say that for family because there's this like expectation of it. But I'm like, but if it's toxic, you have to look
Yeah.
at it the same way as like, okay, I graduated, I moved on, like we moved away, we're different
Hmm.
people now. And it's hard to admit that. It's hard to not give our kids like that cookie cutter, like family image.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I think it's different now because there are concepts of like chosen family and your community has been really what we're growing
Hmm.
and just I think I got to a place where I'm like it is heartbreaking but at the same time it's easier like it's just emotionally easier.
Well, you protect your peace. I call it this way. You
Yeah.
know, you setting boundaries. It doesn't mean they're not family. It doesn't mean that people aren't friends. You hit a very important point about friendship too, and I am always a firm believer that we live in the world by ourselves. We navigate this in theory by ourselves, but there are people that come along the way to shape you, guide you, maybe set you on a different path, or even cause harm. But all these things happen while you're trying to figure all this stuff out, right?
Hmm.
And so friendships come in, high school friends, you move on, and 20 years later, it's like, hey, what's people doing in high school? I don't know. It's for 20 years removed for different people now. We had a great time in high school 20 years ago, but life's changed, right? But they served a purpose, just like
Hmm.
families serve a purpose. It's like you'll serve a purpose for your children as they navigate their lives. And
Hmm.
then and by but doing this the right way, by being emotionally available, even when you're having bad days, is only going to help them as they navigate their friendships too, right? Do you
Hmm.
see that kind of becoming the case for that? And also with other parents, what do they see from you when through the work that you've done? How have they been inspired by it?
I feel like I worry so much of the narrative in my head is like because I can have a bad day, I think that's all that the story
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that it's not all that my kids are. Like I joke when my daughter's in a crowded room, I know where she is for
Yeah.
safety. But I also don't have to worry about losing her because you can kind of follow the smiles.
Mm-hmm.
She's so outgoing to like be kindness in the world and she approaches everything we do in the mental health advocacy is like she checks in on people and she's very empathetic and she's very sharing and caring and I was like so we were able to do that because we were okay showing her that sometimes we can be off and sometimes we can be really on. And I'm seeing it in practice where she has kind of checked in on friends and others because she understands that
Hmm.
emotions change and it's all there. And I'm like, I'm just happy that I was able to have all the good stuff. She's like, all the good parts.
Well, it's like that. Is it a Disney movie or a DreamWorks movie? It's what's the one with all the emotions?
Inside Out. She
Inside
loves that
Out.
one too. Yeah.
I've never seen it. I know about it. I know the second movie that they made
Mm,
are a little more advanced emotions, like not the basic ones, but a little more in
yeah.
depth, right? And so, but it's important, I think, with emotions. You know, I love the brain. If we had a dysfunctional amygdala, it would be all like no emotion that can just get through life and not have emotional memories and not be triggered by things if that thing just didn't work. Um, Unfortunately, it does, right? That being said, thinking about your with the work that you're doing, mental health, being a mother, but also an author, right? What's the next project for you? What's it look like, or have you started a new project yet?
Yeah, I signed on for 3 books. So the first one's out, and that is the cloud is really representative of my experience. Like it really is just our story and how I bring the cloud with me to places. The idea is shifting to just talk about different aspects of depression through the cloud. So the next one, we're going to the park and it's going to be like what happens when you have a cloud and you can't. So I'm high functioning depression. I will do it. I will just
Mm-hmm.
be cloudy while doing it because I will
Mm-hmm.
push myself. The next one is like what happens when you just can't go do things. And then the third one, we're not even going to leave the house. So what happens when it does look like that mom's under
Yeah.
the covers all day? And so it's important to me to kind of try and spread that awareness of like my book doesn't represent all of depression right now. It's kind of that hidden under there. And then what does it look like when it shifts? And that's part
Mm-hmm.
of the Cloudy Day Chronicles on the blog too, is to just put a bunch of perspectives out there. Like this is not, I think a lot of the stigma behind mental health is people hear a word and they get the immediate idea of what it's supposed to look like. And then when it doesn't match,
Mm-hmm.
they're like, oh, you don't have that. And I was like, yes, yes, I do.
Well, the thing with mental health too, I work in higher ed, and it happens all the time that anxiety and depression are commonplace, almost to the point that sometimes students also come and say they have anxiety and depression in a sense to use it as a way to get
Mhm.
out of something. You can say, you've been high function, you've been fine the whole semester, and all of a sudden now it's finals week, and now you have anxiety or you're depressed. It happens all the time. And I feel like it sometimes takes away from those who actually struggle with anxiety and depression. Do you feel sometimes that it is overused sometimes, that it might actually again cloud the almost like a diagnosis? Someone actually does struggle with depression, that someone might just come out and say, I'm just depressed. I'm depressed. I'm sad, anxious. But do you feel like that ever happens a lot when you see just from your own opinions or perspectives?
I mean, I feel like I've heard like the statement like everyone has ADHD. It's just
Mm-hmm.
what letter you have. And I'm like, I agree with that. Like I feel like in some respect we start to say that like you you have to be like, I don't know, so extreme with it. And even in this process, I'm like, I had really dark days. And when I went through like publishing the book and doing everything was a little lighter because that was bringing me joy, that was bringing me happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this guilt of like, I don't know, if I'm writing a book about depression and I don't seem depressed, are
Mm-hmm.
people going to think I'm credible? And so it
Yeah.
felt like I shouldn't have to be depressed every single
Mm-hmm.
second
Of
to
course
say
not.
I have depression.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, I'm kind of on like their side. Like I think what differentiates it is like the chronic inability to get out of it. So yeah, if you're usually fine and only during finals week you have
Mm-hmm.
depression, like maybe not, maybe that's just like
And
seasonal affective and stuff.
or
But
or
at
a
the same
reaction
time,
that she didn't prepare herself. I've
yeah.
seen that too. Yeah.
And then at the same time being able to say like, hey, seasonal is a really big one. Like I can be fine all summer because I'm distracting myself, and then the second it's not summer, I'm like, okay, it's really intense right now. And so trying to just know that difference, and that's why I'm glad a lot of awareness is out there to say, is it something more or is it
Mhm.
just what you think it is?
Exactly. Well, this is kind of like why I do this podcast because one, it's I also like you said, you find your happiness in your writing, right? I like find happiness in stories, and so I enjoy this for the fact is I get to meet people that are complete utter strangers to me that I've never met in my life, right? And now it's a connection concept of hearing people that are very unique, real people, not some like celebrity whoever would be that's accomplished everything. This is regular people who've accomplished great things, who go through daily struggles to just like everybody else, but just exist and just keep doing it. And so I've enjoyed having these conversations with people, and so you try to do these things that make you happy, right? So you mentioned that you don't have to be always depressed, right? And so the things that do make you happy, obviously being a mother makes you happy, writing makes you. What are some of the other things that make you happy? Like,
We are like we're currently in this we love acts of kindness, so
mm,
we've been doing a lot of pay it forward initiatives. We've been getting to meet fantastic organizations and then just finding ways to go out and like cheer up the world. Like we're big on sidewalk chalk, so one of the easiest
mhm,
things is we take it everywhere, and when we go walk we draw stuff so when people walk they see like happy smiley faces and
mhm,
stuff. But that is just a big thing where it's we're having a rough day. It's like, let's just go do some kind of act of kindness to make the
mhm.
world better, even if we're sitting under a cloud. And
Yes.
then we're a very adventurous family. Like we go out to volleyball nonstop and we just like hiking and being out in the
Mhm.
community and exploring new things.
Well, you talk about random acts of kindness. It makes me think of a student that I had in one of my classes, and she talked about when she would do, if you go to like a coffee shop and you buy five co or 10
Mhm.
coffees, you get one free. And she would never use it for herself. She'd always take the free coffee and give it to the person that was behind her in line, and she'd just keep getting the punch card. So we do need a lot more kindness in the world. It can be a heavy place lately for many things, and I think we all see it, and it does weigh and take a toll on human beings to see sometimes a lot of negativity. I've created this thing online. You can see tons of online stuff. There's positive things, there's negative things. I always try to find more positive to push on here to keep, again, reinforcing the message too, and sharing episodes like this for people, hopefully, to listen to. They'll also be inspired by this and hear about mental health. Now, the beach, right? I think you sent me some. Now, the beach photos you sent me, what were those beach photos about?
So I was okay sharing them because they're like
Hmm?
awful photos.
There is no such
But
thing as an awful photo. It's a photo of you and your husband, right? And
yeah,
that's
okay.
would he be upset about that if you called it an awful photo? I mean,
Oh no, he knows. So what happened was we were supposed to get like a smiling happy photo for the
hmm
back of the book, and it took us 4 sessions, and I
hmm
was like upfront with everyone. Even when we show it, when we read out loud, everyone's like, "That's such a cute picture." I was like, "One. We got one cute picture in 4 visits." Because life happens
hmm
and chaos happens. And it wasn't even like one of them was the kids were hungry and one
hmm
of them was lantern flies all over the beach. So we had meltdowns. And one was like the lighting was just awful and it was windy. And
hmm
it was just this constant, like, we would go with this best intention and we were all really excited to do the beach photo and we're on the beach and we just
hmm
start clicking and it was like this miserable experience. And then most of the times I was just like, I'm over it. Okay, mom's done. And like I would walk back to the car and I'd tell my husband, like, I'm too upset to pack up. Like, I
Okay.
just want one happy photo. And so we ended up like having the nice photo, but most of the time I end up sharing the like awful experience ones anyways. So like I think that's part of it too, is like we just need to say it doesn't all look sunny, like
No,
that. Oh no, look at them. They're happy on the beach. I'm like, no, moms, it was chaos.
it's
That is
real.
okay.
I
Yeah.
well, I always joke about that too with the element of social media that when people post photos, they always try to post the best one. Like they, and I always tell my students, you always want to take the best selfie. You probably have 20 selfies that you took of the same
Mhm.
shot, and you think you found the right one that you're going to post online that someone's going to like, and then someone may not, and then it destroys you forever because you thought it was great. But I think we like to project and put our best selves out there. That's what social media does. We want to, because it's an avenue where you can control it, right?
Mhm.
This is the perfect family photo. We're all in denim. Okay, I've seen this. We're all in denim. If you're a denim family and the boot, I've seen them before. Denim, and anyways, I'm from the Midwest, and the denim thing was a thing. But they put that perfect photo, background landscape. Everything was set up and how many takes it took, and it has to be the best picture. And everybody loves it, right? They like a beautiful family, beautiful. Show me the mess, show me the chaos, right? It's because it's real. And get a wonder the child's crying. That's fine. It just captures the moment in real time versus trying to put together perfect because it's hard to maintain perfection in the world, right? And it's even like the idea of
Mhm.
a beach, right? If you go and you walk across the beach and there's footprints here, there's maybe stuff here, sandcastles here. What's the ocean do after a while? High tide comes in.
Yep, it's all gone.
It's all
Starting
gone
over.
anyways. We're going to start over, erase that, and we're going to do this again. And I think it's a great symbolic thing about life is no matter how messy one day is or how imperfect thing is, you get a chance to do it over the next day.
I think that was kind of where the book came from too. Is like a lot of when we had kids, what were they holding on to? Because kids say everything, they're honest. And so at
Hmm.
the end of the day, if I had one moment during the day where I just like lost it or something, at the end of the day, I would ask her, I was like, what was your favorite thing about today? Or what did you not like about today? And she would never bring up any of that negative stuff that I was holding on to. She would be like, I
Hmm.
loved when we did this. This was so much fun. And it started to remind me that like they aren't holding on to all the stuff that we're taught as adults to
Hmm.
like hold on to and fix and make it better and be that perfect mom and stuff. And when we look at the photos, she sees those memories. Like if her brother was crying, she's like, oh yeah, here's where the lantern fly like landed on
Hmm.
him. And I'm like, okay, so she sees the fun of why that photo looks chaotic.
Yes.
And that is what we can hold on to. It's just that, yeah, we tried.
Yes. And you want to maintain memories too, because like I said, we live in a digital age where everything it's with excessive amounts of photos and they live on devices and you just stay there, right? You thinking of photos. I love photo albums. Or a photo in a frame because when you
Mhm.
hold it, you intentionally print it and you look at it, you get remembering the firefly on that. You remember those way better than a bunch of the same sunrise or the it's if you got all of these photos, having great quality memories is an important thing to cherish. I think that's a great message for your kids. I think they're going to turn out just fine in the world that you live in. I'm sure that's a big stress for you. Like, how are they going to turn out? Is everything going to be okay for kids, right? You're doing an awesome job as a mother, right? Do you ever get to
Thanks.
hear that? Do you hear that often? Like, or do you ever feel like you're doing a great job as a mom, or do you ever feel like
It's you
just
can hear it. It's whether or not it sinks in is
yeah,
honest. Like my daughter's language is really far ahead. And it took me like a while. Like I used to say I was like, I have no idea how she's like and it took me a while to go, actually I did
mm-hmm,
that. Like I narrated every single thing at home. I talked to her so much. Like it was
mm-hmm,
all really great. And so it did take a while to just be like, yeah, I did all of that.
mm-hmm,
And people will like pat you on the back and it's the same thing. Like I'll have a rough day and they'll be like, oh, she's so cute. And I'll remember what it took to like do her hair. And I'm like, oh, don't answer with the negative. Just say yes.
yes,
And we always want to like answer with the negative sometimes
mm-hmm.
too. And I have to be like, just be positive.
Well, I also think too, sometimes you said you do those things and you just sometimes don't give yourself the credit. I think I just interviewed someone yesterday actually, and talking about mindfulness and well-being, and it talked about mothers, and with mothers you get to juggle everything, right? In theory, and you just picture yourself at a circus with all the stuff happening, you're juggling all the balls, and then someone throws you another one, and also you might drop one, and then you like try to catch it and something else drops and there's that pressure, right, of any parent, but especially moms to maintain it all. So, trying to find those moments where you can find joy in the midst of sometimes the chaos or feeling like I'm doing a good job. Some days I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Again, just like the ocean wipes out everything, you get a new day to start over. Even if there's a fight the next day or previous day, and you come back and you guys apologize and the kids come to terms, you talk it out. This is part of it, but it's not an easy job, parenting. It's mental health's important, so I
Yeah.
take care of it. So,
It was also today I actually posted because like we become a parent and I do understand I love parent being my identity. I love it. We bring
mm-hmm,
our kids along to everything. So I know that like a lot of people say like don't make it your entire world and I'm like I'm fine with that. But
mm-hmm,
I also am fine with saying my two favorite things are being with my kids and being away from my kids.
mm-hmm,
Like it doesn't mean that if I say I need babysitting that I'm like I'm not cherishing every moment. And so yesterday I had like a lot going on and someone had posted about like, oh, when you have a lot going on, like remember they're only going to be young once, enjoy every second. And I was
mm-hmm.
like, no,
Yes,
like they're young and they're terrible right now. I'll see them when
yes,
they're 18 and I can tell them to give me space. But like just because I need a few hours away and I need to say like, yeah, I'm gonna miss when they're 4 and cute, but
mm-hmm.
she's not cute right now and I would like an
No,
hour off.
yeah,
Like,
she's being a pain in the ass. I want a
yeah.
break. Mom needs a break. Speaking of that, since it's been a pleasant break for you to be on today too as well and having this conversation, Kendall, it's been a pleasure and I hope you get to enjoy a little more free time today or just for yourself, but also enjoy the time with your kids and keep doing the great things you're doing and
Thank you.
keep Ziggleoafing. I'm gonna go with
Yes.
that word. And thank you again for being on today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.